Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. When I was in school, I had one of the best teachers. His name was Mr. Williams. He taught me how to think critically about literature. Once we were reading a novel, The Lord of the Rings. At that time, I had just completed 12th grade, and Mr. Williams asked me a question. What do you think Bilbo Baggins would have done if he found the ring in the river Saranen? I pondered over this question for a few days, and when I finally came up with an answer, I shared it with him during our next lecture. I believe he would have kept it, I said. Why? He asked. Because he was greedy, I replied. Mr. Williams smiled. Not necessarily, he said. Greediness is a quality that can be used to explain why many things happen in the world, but it isn't the only explanation. He then asked me another question. Do you think Frodo would have been able to destroy the ring if he hadn't met Gandalf? I thought for a moment. No, I said. He would have become consumed by its power and turned into a ring wraith himself. Mr. Williams nodded. That's right, he said. But Aragorn took the ring from Frodo in the fires of Mount Doom because he loved him like his own son and knew that Frodo couldn't do it alone. If Aragorn hadn't been there, Frodo might have destroyed the ring anyway. We'll never know for sure. But what we do know is that there are countless ways in which any event can play out. We can imagine infinite scenarios based on the characters we meet and their decisions throughout our lives. This ability to imagine all these different possibilities is what makes us human. It's also what allows us to learn from our experiences and make better choices in the future. Knowledge without imagination is like a bird without wings. It can't soar to great heights or explore new horizons. Imagination is what allows us to see beyond what is immediately in front of us. It lets us explore the endless possibilities that exist in the world around us. When we imagine things, we're able to visualize them in our minds and see how they might look in real life. This helps us to understand concepts and ideas that we may not have encountered before. By imagining ourselves in different situations, we can also learn how to behave appropriately and make better decisions. For example, if you're about to give a presentation, you can imagine yourself doing the presentation successfully. This will help you to feel more confident and prepared when the time comes. Imagination is also essential for creativity. In order to come up with new ideas, we need to be able to visualize them in our minds first. Whether you're an artist, a writer, a musician, or just someone who enjoys coming up with new ideas, imagination is an essential tool. Knowledge by itself is static, but when you combine it with imagination, it becomes dynamic and powerful. You can use your knowledge to come up with new solutions to old problems or create something entirely new. So the next time you hear someone say, "Oh, that's just a fantasy," remember that it's only because they haven't developed their imaginations. They don't understand the difference between imagination and reality. Of course, we all know that we live in a physical world governed by laws of nature. However, our ability to imagine other worlds has allowed us to make incredible discoveries and inventions that would not have been possible otherwise. For example, Nikola Tesla once said, "The man who does not understand imagination will never get ahead in this world." Without Tesla's imagination, we would not have had alternating current or induction motors, which are essential for modern life. Knowledge is important. I am not saying that we should abandon our studies and not try to learn anything new. Knowledge is a building block of our intelligence and understanding of the world around us. It gives us a framework within which we can imagine all those wonderful things. However, if all you do is acquire knowledge, you will eventually become a parrot repeating the same phrases over and over again. Your mind will become cluttered with information, and you won't be able to think creatively or solve problems. On the other hand, if you develop your imagination, you'll be able to use all that information stored in your mind in a much more effective way. You'll be able to think outside the box and come up with innovative solutions to old problems. So how do we develop our imagination? Well, here are some tips. First, make sure to read a lot. Reading is the best way to stimulate your imagination because you're essentially exploring different worlds and possibilities. Pay attention to detail when you're reading, and don't just focus on the plot. Try to imagine what it would feel like to be in the character's shoes. Next, practice writing every day. Writing is a great way to let your imagination run wild. Just sit down and write whatever comes to mind. Don't worry about grammar or spelling. Just let your imagination guide you. Also, try to come up with as many different solutions to a problem as possible. This is called brainstorming, and it's a great way to stimulate your imagination. Don't censor yourself and don't be afraid to come up with crazy ideas. The more ideas you have, the better. And finally, play games that require imagination, such as role-playing games or board games. These games are designed to stimulate your imagination and creativity. So have fun and let your imagination run wild. And now I want to share with you a quote from Albert Einstein. Logic will get you from A to Z in a direct line, but imagination will take you everywhere. Logic is a useful tool, but it's limited by the information that we already know. Imagination, on the other hand, is limitless. It can take us to places we've never been and show us things we've never seen. It allows us to explore the unknown and discover new possibilities. There's an old saying that goes, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." This is true in more ways than one. Every great achievement, every major discovery, every significant work of art began with a single step. But what exactly is the first step? Well, it's the step that you take before you even begin to plan. It's the step that you take before you even know what's involved. It's the step that you take when you decide to dream big and aim for the stars. That's where imagination comes in. We often get bogged down in the details and lose sight of the bigger picture. We start to worry about all the things that could go wrong and all the obstacles that stand in our way. But if we allow ourselves to daydream a little, if we allow ourselves to imagine what it would be like to achieve our goals, then we're more likely to take that first step. When we imagine ourselves succeeding, we feel motivated and inspired. We feel like anything is possible. And that's when we're most likely to take action. Imagine, for example, that you want to write a book. You've always loved reading and you've always wanted to write your own story. But you're worried about all the things that could go wrong. What if nobody wants to read your book? What if you don't have enough time? What if you're not good enough? If you allow yourself to dwell on these thoughts, then you'll never take the first step. You'll never finish that book. But if you can imagine yourself as a successful author, if you can see yourself holding your book in your hands, knowing that you've created something special, then you're more likely to take the first step. You're more likely to put pen to paper and start writing. It's the same with everything else in life. If you want to start a business, if you want to lose weight, if you want to find love, then you need to imagine yourself achieving those things. You need to see yourself living the life that you want to live. When you do this, you feel motivated and inspired. You feel like anything is possible. And that's when you're most likely to take action. Knowledge is important. I am not saying that we should abandon our studies and not try to learn anything new. Knowledge is a building block of our intelligence and understanding of the world around us. It gives us a framework within which we can imagine all those wonderful things. However, if all you do is acquire knowledge, you will eventually become a parrot repeating the same phrases over and over again. Your mind will become cluttered with information and you won't be able to think creatively or solve problems. On the other hand, if you develop your imagination, you'll be able to use all that information stored in your mind in a much more effective way. You'll be able to think outside the box and come up with innovative solutions to old problems. In conclusion, my friends, we can say that imagination is the most important quality in a person. It is more important than knowledge, talent, skill, experience, connections, money, beauty, power, and everything else. If you develop your imagination, you will become a master of your destiny. You will be able to achieve anything you set your mind to, so never underestimate the power of imagination. Nurture it, develop it, and let it soar. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out on any new videos.